let's get to Helen White.
Period, and there is a proposed amendment to the paper which talks about a 10-year period, and I want to argue in favour of that period, because what the Minister has done is all the benefit of a 10-year period goes straight to the boss in the law as it is. At the present time, the proposal on the table is that the people will suffer who are the people who have been injured. So the amount of time that will elapse before someone can take a case, again, if there is discrimination, is going to be 10 years. And during that period, no back pay claim can be made. So they also pay the price for that full 10 years. So is it fair that the law comes into place now and it isn't a 10-year period, if we're going to be fair about things? Shouldn't we have a 10-year hiatus where we get through these claims and they apply and we do things for 10 years? And wouldn't it be better to commence this law after 10 years, given that the Minister is willing to give that full freedom of 10 years to the boss and actually allow them all the benefit of discriminating for that period and just deprive women in New Zealand of what they should be being paid? Because effectively, what the Minister's proposals do and what the change in law is one that says it's okay to discriminate for a full 10 years and we will take the profit. We, as the employers, will take the profit off the workers. We will discriminate, too bad, that's what we're going to do. And I wondered whether the Minister might consider actually renaming this bill something that is perhaps reflective of what it means to women in New Zealand today. Something like the Mother's Day gift might be an appropriate thing. Mother's Day is this Sunday. My mother was, and I talked about this earlier in the situation, she was one of the women who started to work in the 1960s under the law that she got paid a quarter of a male wage. And it's her kinds of profession. She was a school teacher, but it happened in other professions as well. It's those professions that suffered because so many women were employed on much lower wages than their male comrades. Their male comrades paid 4 times more because they were assumed to have whole families. And so what happened when that happened to them was that though they dragged behind for years and years and years. So they did not save the kind of money that their male colleagues saved. They did not leave violent relationships because they could not afford to. Their children also suffered. That is what happened. And that is the history that meant we have deeply unequal amounts of pay in this country. It had nothing to do with the value of their work. And it definitely had nothing to do with the term merit, which has been used here in a way that I hope you understand by my contributions today is deeply offensive to me. To suggest that somebody who's in a profession that's 68% female and has been discriminated against, and historically all those factors mean they're being paid less, is not a meritorious claimant. That's deeply offensive to me. And it's deeply offensive to people like my mother, who actually fought to work for equal pay in this country and deserve better, absolutely deserve better. I also wanted to suggest that maybe another change that we could look to is a title that reflected the complete walkaway that the ACT Party has done from the capacity of people to make a contractual bargain. Because all these settlements were actually contracts. All these settlements were contracts. And people made them, blood, sweat and tears made those contracts, those agreements, and they came up with a deal. They negotiated and they came up with a deal. And what the ACT Party does today, and this coalition government, so National cannot walk away from responsibility for this, what they do today is they walk away from, they squash that contractual freedom, all the work that went in, all the bargains struck, tough. What we're actually going to do, Madam Chair? Madam Chair?
Honourable Brooke van Veldon.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I couldn't listen to a second longer of that contribution, I'm sorry. Without especially hearing the member note offence so often in that contribution. And I wanted to make it known that I personally find it offensive that we have a member who is conflating the issue of being a woman with being a mother. There are women who cannot become mothers. And there are women who have struggled to be mothers. And when we have this bill talking about discrimination between men and women, we should not be trying to rename it to a Mother's Day bill, because there are so many working women in this country who are struggling to become mothers. And I personally find that hurtful.
I wonder, has Brooke just between the lines open up something she's personally gone through? She might not be able to become a mother.
I mean, I don't care if a woman can become a mother or not. I don't have children of my own. But here's the thing, nor can I really have them either, nor do I want them. But here's the thing, that is not an excuse to go after women's paychecks. It's really that simple. It's like, hey, look, childless cat lady over here, literally, listen, okay? I'm not going after other women's paychecks. I'm not going after working mothers' paychecks either. I'm not going to make it harder for them to put forward a claim like what Brooke is doing. What a pitiful excuse. What a shitty thing to do.
No, those sorts of comments really bother me, because it's like you're trying to hide behind women who have issues with infertility and conflate it with the general principles of what somebody's saying. It's become, the right wing often accuses the left of being woke and playing victim, but they're only too happy to do it themselves.
I am very woke, by the way. But I'm not a victim. But I am woke.
But you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I'm a contrarian, so it depends which room I'm sitting in to what I am. But I find that, that's just sort of, it's a very low thing to do. She's talking about personal experience, and she's talking about women's experience in this country. And we sort of often extol the virtues of New Zealand. We're the first to give women the vote, and how wonderful we are, and how we're a fair and equitable society and all that sort of thing. But that long went out the window in the with Muldoon, and we haven't recovered it.
It's like, oh, you can't hide behind motherhood. That's not, no, using that as a shield so you can stab other women in the back. No. What the fuck?
Well, no, they don't, like, as the comment said, they hide behind it. Like, we couldn't have another kid, and we struggled with it. I don't want that used against as an excuse that women shouldn't get fair pay, or that, bringing fertility issues into a discussion about whether you should be paid for equal work. That's really, really low.
Yeah.
It is. It's scraping the bottom of the barrel. I found it. I honestly just literally cringed when I heard that live, and I was like, for fuck's sake. It's because she doesn't have a response. She doesn't want to give a response. She knows she screwed over a bunch of mothers, but she's like, I don't want to be bullied for it, so I'm going to hide behind the fact that I can't be a mum. Like, come on.
Well, she didn't even own that. She just made a vague statement to put out in the air, and if anybody says anything, then they're personally attacking her, and she can play the victim. And it's really unpleasant. And hey, can I ask you, has anything come in with this bill about AI? Because I've heard a lot of AI.
Good question.
And AI being used to strategically fire people, but then you can hide behind the hidden algorithm. So you get diagnosed with cancer, all of a sudden you lose your job, but it wasn't the employer's choice. It was the AI program that was able to find the algorithm. And I just, like, because so much of this stuff is redacted, I was trying to think what could be part of the redaction.
Yeah.
That's why regulatory impact statement was going to be very helpful and very, informative. And she basically denied everyone the right to look at the evidence.
Yeah. And I bet it's probably the reason why there isn't one is because the one that they could have got probably wouldn't have given them the answer they wanted to portray. Yeah.
It's an obvious thing that it's just the budget, and it's like, is it just the budget, or is it just something else?
There'll be a whole fucking nest of things that need to be untangled, but I think the budget's just the front.
So I guess it's months of OIA requests and things.
Or potentially chief ombudsman. Yeah.
How's your mukbang going, Sam?
It's getting there.
It's getting there. I hope everyone's enjoying the mukbang.
Thanks for watching. Make sure you're subscribed to our Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Instagram, TikTok.